What up, Bulls Nation? We've got a live CHGO Bulls coming up for y'all right around the corner. On today's show, earlier today, the full 25-26 Bulls season schedule was dropped. What are our early reactions, key matchups? What does it look like out of the gate? What kind of start will the Bulls get off to? Plus, who will be the Bulls' next All-Star? Coby? Josh? Modest? And when will it happen? And how much money will they be making when it does? We'll talk about it next with our pal, Uncle Will Perdue. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls Podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That's Will, the Go Gottlieb, perfectly coiffed Will_Gottlieb. The other Will, a.k.a. four-time NBA champ. We call him Uncle Will around here. Follow him, Will_Perdue, 32. Will, back to the golf course. What's up, buddy?
Oh, yeah.
Good to see you.
The best day of the week, and I had to come in here.
That's right. So sorry. Queen of the Controls, Katie Duffy. How are you, Katie?
Hello.
Riding that Taylor Swift high?
Always riding the Taylor Swift high.
What about, did you catch Taylor Swift on the Kelsey Brothers podcast yet, Mr. Perdue?
No, I have not.
It's a great time. Highly recommend it.
We're going to talk about it after the show.
It's a fascinating listen.
For some reason, the most notable thing about that for me, and I didn't watch the whole thing, I just saw a clip, Jason Kelsey's beard and hair dye was so strong.
You think it's dye?
Just super dark, yeah.
Could
I
be.
do think it was dye.
Well, yeah, he's probably going gray at
Trying to
this point.
avoid the gray. I just
Yeah.
embrace it.
No problem with gray hair, but I just was like, whoa, haven't seen that.
Nothing wrong with embracing gray.
Hey,
what about you over there? I see a little bit of salt and pepper above the ears, but you're still
absolutely, baby.
You're still rocking though.
I'm doing okay.
You're nowhere close to fully gray.
No,
Not too stressed out.
not this time of year.
Not this time of year.
But
that is for sure.
Are Bulls fans stressing out over the schedule release? It just happened earlier today. We'll talk about it right now. The Bulls, first of all, everybody wants to know how many big-time, primetime games will the Bulls have this year. I think most logical Bulls fans and level-headed ones would expect a modest number. I believe they had 5 last year between the actual networks and NBA TV. This year, that number shrunk to 3. 1 game on ESPN against the Brooklyn Nets. They've got a game that's exclusively only streaming on Peacock, and then a third that is exclusively only streaming on, what's the other one? Amazon. All 3 of their games that are televised or streaming on a national scale are on the road. And honestly, that's kind of what I expected. The Bulls, despite being a large market team, are not grabbing a whole lot of attention and eyeballs coming into this season. And they are, I think there are a few teams that have only 2 nationally televised games, and the Bulls and Charlotte, I think, are the 2 teams with 3. Like they're on the bottom rung of how the NBA prioritized who's getting the eyeballs this upcoming season, Perdue. Do you think that makes sense?
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's at the end of the day when these, the companies, NBC, ABC, Amazon, the amount of money they pay, they have a lot of control. Mm-hmm. So they want the games that are going to have, as you just mentioned, the most set of eyeballs, period. So they can bump up those advertising costs.
Right.
And, get people to advertise on their shows. But at the end of the day, the Bulls are a big market team. Mm-hmm. We can't deny that fact. But unfortunately, they just haven't lived up to expectations. And when you don't necessarily put out a product per se that the NBA as a whole, I'm not talking about Bulls fans. This isn't about, we're going to put the Bulls on TV because of Bulls fans.
Right.
We used to put the Bulls on TV because they were good.
Right.
Now it's about if we put the Bulls on, what type of rating will we get?
Right.
At the present moment, unless something changes dramatically, they feel that rating would not be very good. So we're not going to, put them on. I did find it interesting, as you pointed out, the one game that possibly could be a national game is against Brooklyn.
Yeah. Brooklyn Nets, another team not expected to do a whole lot of winning this season.
Was there not any other games that night?
I guess. Or
me, that's-
maybe it's like, well, we got to give at least one nationally televised game to these two teams that nobody is interested in watching from
So
the
then why wouldn't you
broad
go with the
scale.
Lakers or the Warriors or the...
Because their schedules are already chock full of other nationally
They want to
televised
keep it
games.
competitive, probably. But like to me, that's one that. So you have December 1st at Orlando on Peacock. You have January 16th at Brooklyn on ESPN, and February 5th at Toronto on Prime. The ESPN game, like, could that just be flexed out in mid-January if the Nets are like
Could be.
4-35, like which I think they would love to be. I just don't like. I imagine that they're putting the Bulls in these games against the Raptors, against the Nets, because they think that they will be competitive games. And even though they aren't good teams, both of them aren't very good, so they'll compete. But like, this brings me to a bigger question, Will, which I have for you. I cannot see a world where the Vegas books right now, who have the Bulls at like either 30 or 32 wins, are right. Like, I just think this is going to be a better team. We saw them have competitive games down the stretch of last year. We saw them have exciting games against big market teams like the Lakers twice. I'm not saying they deserve more national TV games, but I feel like they're being treated like this team that's going to be aggressively tanking. And I just don't think they are. What do you think of, like, I mean, you don't have to like go through each game and give me like a win-loss prediction, but do you think they'll be better than that? Or do you think they'll kind of be in that same zip code?
I mean, I think they'll be in that same zip code, but I would definitely go with the over.
Yeah.
What was last year 28?
Last year was 27.5, and they won 39. And this year, depending on the book, some of them have 32.5. I just saw 30.5 somewhere. So I just
listen. I think what we've learned, and we're going to talk about this later in the show, but they don't want to tank. They don't believe in tanking.
No.
They want to be competitive. Okay. Now, their definition of competitive and our definition of competitive are probably two different things.
Wee bit different.
But that means they're probably going to win a lot more games than we thought they would. And I believe that, the interesting thing is that I think Vegas learned their lesson last year and was like, oh, man, we were way too low. Because how much different is the team in this upcoming season than last year?
I mean, it depends. If you're talking about the team after the Zach LaVine trade, it's the same team.
Yeah.
It's the same team. But the team that had Zach LaVine and Vooch both playing like all-stars in the first half of the season, when they made their way to 18-20 about halfway through.
But also you had the run that Giddey team made.
Correct. Finishing 15-5 down the stretch.
Right.
They also, at one point, after the Zach trade and while they were trying to fit in the new pieces, I think the furthest to the bottom they got was 14 games under 500. So they got to 14 games under 500 and then finished 15-5.
You know what that means.
That they're going to be 3 or 4 games under 500 again this upcoming season?
And
Going back to the play-in tournament?
bingo.
Hey! 4-Pete, Will. They're going to beat y'all squad by 1. 4-Pete. A little bit different. The other thing that everybody always looks at is the schedule out of the gate, right? What kind of start can the team get off to? And it's kind of a rough go. Detroit at home, at Orlando, 2 playoff teams from last year. Then you got the Hawks, a team that a lot of people think, because of their offseason moves, is going to be a lot better this year. Sacramento, our old pals, DeMar and Zach. That could be a win. They're the Bulls of the West. Knicks, which is, by the way, the first NBA Cup game at home on Halloween. Then you play the Knicks again at MSG a couple nights later. Then you got the Sixers, obviously a big question mark with Embiid's health as well as Paul George's health. Then you got the Bucks, Cavs, Spurs, Pistons again. That's your first 10 or so games. How many wins y'all counting?
Purdue?
Couple?
Well, I'm going with beginning of the season, everybody's playing, specifically Embiid with Philly.
Okay.
We don't know about Milwaukee because they're significantly
Still
different.
a question mark there.
So in that first 10, 2, maybe 3.
I think that's very, very possible. I think 1 is also possible.
I think that's like, if you just on paper compare them to Detroit, they're not as good. Orlando, not as good. Atlanta, not as good. Sacramento, probably better.
That's a push, probably.
Probably a push.
But you know that Zach and DeMar will have something to say
They'll
about
be ready
that.
for it. New York, maybe they get one of those two because it's a back-to-back, and it's hard to win both of those. Philly, Milwaukee are just so hard for me to evaluate at this point because we have no idea about the health. I'm very skeptical. Like, obviously, Giannis is Giannis. They're going to have a certain floor with him out there, but the team aside from him is just not good. And so I could see them, especially against a team like the Bulls who likes to run and get up and down and put pressure on teams that way. We saw the Bulls beat them last year in a similar spot. So 3, maybe 4 wins at most, but I do think you're right that it's just going to be a tough start. But like, you go on and there's a handful of teams that you're probably going to bank, 3 or 4 wins against throughout the course of the season. Brooklyn, Charlotte, Washington, Utah, those kind of teams. But for the most part, teams are competitive, and I think the Bulls will like hang in there and try to and probably win a handful of those games. But there's not going to be any stretches, I don't think, where it's like you can rattle off 6-7 wins in a row.
What do you think about the Pacers, though, considering injuries and free agency?
I think they are like, they still have a lot of talent, right? You still have Nembhard, you have Nesmith, you have Siakam, Toppin. They're going to get Isaiah Jackson back. I think he's going to play a big role coming off the Achilles, bringing Jay Huff. Like, they have some guys, McConnell. I don't think they're going to be anywhere close to the 50-win team that they were last year, but I still think they'll hang around 500 and be in the like 7, 8, 9 range. Best case scenario, maybe? I don't know. Do you guys think I'm off on that one?
I think that they'll still be competitive and in a more realistic use of the term than AK likes to use.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Pacers are going to be better than the Bulls next year, even with an injured Halliburton and the departure of Miles Turner. Like, they're a deeper squad, like Carlisle was talking about a couple weeks ago. Like, can the Bulls get a win or two against the Pacers this year, depending on what happens? Absolutely. But I still think the Pacers will finish higher than the Bulls in the standings.
Yeah.
I know the schedule just came out, but what do you guys feel is the proper approach to take mentally about what to expect?
From whose point of view? Fans? The team? Management?
No, I'm saying let's not talk about the team. Let's not talk about management. Let's not talk about what Billy's going to say. Let's talk about how do we tell our viewers what we would like our expectations to be. I think everybody knows that, but truly what our expectation, truly what we feel like is going to happen, and how do we handle that so we don't mentally abuse ourselves throughout the season?
Well, I got news for you, Will. I mentally abuse myself either way.
Because
Every which way.
last year I talked about I'm going to go into the season and I'm going to focus on Coby and I'm going to focus on Io and I'm going to focus on, how are individuals playing?
Right. So for me, the answer is Modest. The growth, hopefully, of Modest Buzelis in year 2 of his NBA career. And hopefully, if the Bulls are winning games, Modest Buzelis having a big part of the reason why. And then also, even as a Josh Giddey skeptic, and depending on what we're still waiting on with his contract, if Josh Giddey is a big reason why the Bulls are winning games and winning games more games than I expect, then great. But, I think you still need to temper your expectations.
Right, but it's also then how do you not get caught up when they go on a little 3 or 4 game winning streak about, all right, it's coming, and then they follow that with a 3-game losing streak.
Right. I think some pockets of Bulls fans can benefit from reality checks more so than others, and some know, hey, they might be 3 up. They'll be 3 down in a week because it happens. We got to knock out our first couple of ads right there. When we come back on the other side, quick little teaser for an interview that drops tomorrow, and we'll start talking about whether this team has some all-stars on their way in. Hit the like button.
Teaser.
Today's show brought to you by Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. It's your one-stop shop for everything you need to elevate your summer, featuring an expertly curated menu that has over 100 different strains to choose from. Variety is indeed the spice of life. Plus, they offer easy online ordering and in-store pickup. If you're a pro, they probably even still have something you haven't tried before, with those 100 different strains and new strains being added to the menu daily. Check out the Wellness Advisor Staff Picks collection. Visit Sunnyside.shop for Bright Buys every day, including getting 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Just use promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. And for returning customers, use promo code CHGO50 to get 50% off one Cresco Labs brand item. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright Buys every day, only for 21 and older, and Illinois Med card holders.
Whatever the sport, the app to bet it, Circus Sports Illinois. That's right, Circus Sports, it is sports betting the way it should be. Circus Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. We are anti-AI chatbots on this channel.
Love
and
humans.
they will not be forcing the AI chatbots down your throat.
Give me a human to talk to.
Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season, whether it's baseball or we got the Bulls schedule. We're going to be talking about it. You can bet on them too. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game live lines. Circa has it all. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circusports.com. Must be 21 or older. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We roll along CHGO Bulls live on Thursday afternoon. Peck and both of the Wills, Goat and Perdue, hanging out with y'all. Katie on the controls. Shout out to everybody hanging out in the chat. Hit the like button if you haven't done it yet. What's up, Kimberly? What's up, Rob? John, Fish, everybody hanging out.
I do
Appreciate
like
you for
Andrew
being here.
McKay's response
Which is what now?
to prepare for the season.
Watch Groundhog Day? That is good advice, Andrew. If you're a Bulls fan preparing for the 25-26 season, watch Groundhog Day.
Watch that first step.
Hey, first step's a doozy. All right, next thing on the to-do list, wanted to play just the tiniest little teaser for an interview that we're going to drop for y'all in full tomorrow. Spoiler alert, it's a pretty prominent Bulls player from the back in days gone by. Give me that. Give me that.
Best trash talker in your Bulls teammate practices back in the day.
I mean, Nate Robinson, bro. I don't even know what I'm thinking. It's Nate Robb. Like
Let's
Nate,
go, Nate.
Nate Robb wanted all the smoke. He wanted to go against D Rose. He wanted to go against Luau. He wanted to go against Jimmy Butler. Like he wanted all the smoke. He wanted to play one-on-one after every practice. Like Nate didn't miss. Listen, in the year that we had Nate, he didn't miss one practice, no matter if he was hurt, not hurt. He literally has one of the toughest guys I ever played with. You know, at the same time, on the flip side of that coin, every road trip, he would bake us cupcakes for him and his daughter, Navy, would bake us cupcakes for every road trip. Like just awesome team. Man, I had awesome teammates in Chicago, man.
That's right, y'all. Yesterday, we got the chance to talk to the one and only Carlos Boozer. Spent 4 years with the Bulls, part of that team that went to the conference finals in 2011. Analyst for college and NBA these days. And the reason we talked to him is because Katie tracked him down through Bravo people, because he's a contestant on a reality dating show that's airing right now. Perdue, would you ever do that in your post-playing days? Did that opportunity ever come up?
You know, I will not answer that question because my wife would be like, why are you even considering that? I just want to make sure you know, honey, that he brought that up totally out of the blue.
Obviously different circumstances. Carlos
But
Boozer
no,
was a single man when he was approached and pitched the idea of being a Bachelor-esque contestant.
The answer is no. I mean, the funny thing is now I'm very fortunate that my wife and I are very similar in our definition of as an exciting evening is what we did last night. We sat out in the backyard with the dog, had a drink, and listened to the crickets.
That sounds delightful.
That sounds great. I'm going to do that tonight.
With Perdue and his wife?
Yeah.
You're just going to invite
You'll
yourself?
have me. You'll have me.
No, yeah, we'll send the dog over.
Okay.
So keep an eye out for that Boozer interview that drops tomorrow on our CHGO Sports YouTube channel. But Perdue, that had me thinking, you know, we were asking him best trash-talking teammate. His answer was Nate Robb, big Bulls fan favorite. For you, I'm guessing the obvious answer in your practice is MJ. Like, was there anywhere close to a second place as far as who talked as much trash or as good of trash as MJ.
You know,
in
the
your
funny
team
thing was, there
practices.
wasn't a lot of trash talking in our practices.
It was just MJ yelling at everyone.
No, it was MJ. So what people didn't realize is MJ wasn't necessarily a big trash talker. People would be like, "Oh, that's bullshit." No, he what? Yeah, MJ would talk trash to get himself riled up, and then you found out later that he was up all night playing cards and he didn't really get any sleep. So to help get himself motivated, the moment he stepped into the Berto Center, he started talking trash, trying to get somebody to bite, because that's what got his adrenaline going. I mean, you learned with The Last Dance and throughout the years, a lot of these stories that he talked about were fictional, made up.
The LeBradford Smith story.
But, now.
And he took that personal.
But that story was made up, but, he did have a career night against MJ, and MJ made him regret it.
Even that he took personally.
And he actually scored whatever he scored, 30, 31, 32, whatever that number was, MJ scored one more point than that the next time we played them in the first half, right?
Which is pretty absurd.
But
So,
it wasn't like he
was there anybody
constantly
who
talked
tried
trash.
to talk trash to MJ in team practices? Who was like, I'm not going to back down. Screw you, MJ.
Or was everybody like have the?
Oh, no, Pete
appropriate
Myers
fear?
did,
Yeah.
right?
Shout out Pete Myers. What a legend.
But that was the thing. I mean, we were competitive, but we let how we played talk.
Yeah.
MJ, like I said, he would talk trash when he needed to motivate himself.
Yeah.
What about guys on other teams who were like the most fearless when it came to trying to, or like not being afraid to poke the bear?
Kevin Garnett was one of them.
KG.
But
that tracks.
Like Kevin Garnett, I don't remember much about the MJ thing. I was with San Antonio, like him trying to get Tim Duncan going. And Tim just staring at him, with this blank look on his face.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I would assume that Duncan had a resting heart rate of like -2.
But that's one of the things you realize is most of these guys that talk trash, they were talking trash on their behalf
Yeah.
to get themselves motivated, not because they were necessarily going after a certain individual,
Right.
right? Because that's kind of like, who was it? Isaiah Ryder tells a story of when Kevin Garnett was talking trash on his behalf, and he was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Shut up.
I'm good.
I'm good, man. Don't do that. And that's a true story. But, that's the funny thing is there are a lot of players. You heard him talk about Nate Robinson talking trash. I can see that all day, every day.
Oh, yeah.
But that was kind of funny. There were two teams that had two different personalities, but neither one of them, whether it was San Antonio or whether it was Chicago, there wasn't a lot of trash talking. There was MJ getting mad at the coaches during scrimmages, during practice, because he felt like he wasn't getting the calls, and then the second unit would beat the first unit.
Yeah.
MJ leaving practice because he thought he was in a situation that prevented him from winning.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to walk out.
Oh, the practice where he thought Doug Collins was cheating?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was more like Johnny Bach was technically the official.
Doberman defense, baby.
And Johnny would not blow his whistle. Johnny would just Johnny used to talk about one of his favorite things about officials was this and this. Then that meant keep going. So practice and that's all Johnny would do, just let the whistle hang out of his mouth and keep doing those two gestures about keep playing.
Love that. Well, so Nate Robb, as Boozer said, big trash talker in practice, but also a great teammate as far as kind gestures, would always bring homemade brownies on the team playing for road trips and whatnot. Was there a teammate of yours who was not necessarily a vet getting pampered by their rook and making rooks do things, but a teammate who always was going an extra mile to do kind favors or gestures to teammates? Who won best teammate award? Was it you?
Probably not. I kind of was a smart ass. It's like when I got fined by the coaches and I disagreed with it. It was a $100 fine, so I got pissed and brought in $100 worth of pennies.
That is the most Will Perdue thing I've ever heard.
You should have fined them back.
Okay.
I had a big ass bag that I just dropped on the table. In the coaches' room. Here you go.
Did you go to a bank and ask?
Yes, I did.
That's
Dang.
hilarious.
And of
I
course,
was
they
hoping
gave
you
them to me
already
in
had the
roll. They gave them
pennies.
to me in rolls, and then I
Yeah.
just undid the rolls and kept dumping $100 worth of pennies in the
You
bag.
unrolled all the rolls and put them in one giant bag.
Yeah, they gave me 100
That
rolls.
is so petty. I love it.
They gave me 100 rolls, right? And each one had 100 pennies in it.
Oh my god!
And I just dumped it in a bag so they were all loose. So I was like, hey, if you're going to find me $100 and you want me to pay this because I disagree, then I'm going to make you count this.
Love that.
Now,
So
what they
funny.
did with that bag, I don't know, but they were not happy.
Who did you hand the bag to?
Johnny Bach, he actually appreciated the gesture.
Is he the one who fined you?
No, Phil did.
Okay. Is
So
that like when a team hands down a fine to a player as opposed to the league fining a player? Who does that usually come from the head coach, or does the head coach tell you, or yeah?
Yeah. So,
$100.
but what? So, and people be like, "What was the fine?" Well,
Penny Perdue.
it was Pack's. So it was my fault. We got caught up on traffic,
Yeah.
and this was back before cell phones and GPS, and
Right.
or actually, we had a cell phone. I apologize, but no GPS yet.
These were the Oregon Trail days.
I was calling my buddy, going, "Where do I go?" And he, grew up in Chicago, and he kept telling me to go all these back streets. Half of them were closed, going one wrong way on a one way. Pax is never late. Pax was like, I convinced him to ride with me, so that his wife could drive, and then they could drive home together and wouldn't have separate cars, right? Oh, Pax, just drive with me. That way, Carolyn can drive, and then you guys can drive home together, and you don't have to drive home separately. And he goes, "Oh, all right." And I made him late. He didn't do it again.
So did he get fined too?
Yes, he did.
Punctuality is important.
He disagreed with it too.
Yeah.
Pax said he got fined, and his career got fined twice. That time, and one time I think with San Antonio because he forgot his jump rope for pre-practice warm-up. That was it.
That's harsh.
That's pretty strict.
Yeah.
I don't really remember getting fined that one time. I think they decided, let's not fine him. Who knows what he's going to
I
do
don't want
next
any more
time.
pennies. That's hilarious.
Oh man! All right, so yeah, keep an eye out. We're dropping that Boozer interview
All
tomorrow.
right, so that's Fish. Interesting enough. Again, Fish talked about Xavier McDaniel. That's a good
part
one. I
of
kind of
that
forgot
Knicks
about
team
him.
that y'all hated each other.
But the same type of thing. He was talking trash to MJ on behalf of Dominique Wilkins' brother.
Who? Sorry.
Played with the Knicks. Dominique Wilkins' brother.
Oh,
Played with
man,
the Knicks.
I totally forgot about the other
Damian?
Wilkins.
Huh?
Damian Wilkins?
No, but remember when he was with the Knicks, Xavier McDaniels was there. And Xavier McDaniels labeled him as the Jordan stopper.
Gerald Wilkins.
Gerald Wilkins.
Thank you.
Labeled him as the Jordan stopper.
Yeah.
And basically, so now they started asking MJ questions about it, and Gerald had to stop. I did not call myself that. That was Xavier, and that was a stupid move on his part. Right?
Who would ever be dumb / brazen enough in that era to call themselves the MJ stopper?
Listen,
that's
it's
absurd.
that was the battle between the Knicks and the Bulls.
Yeah.
That's the level that it got to.
Andrew's asking, did you pay Pax's fine for him? Because you got him in trouble.
I should have, but I didn't.
You should have, but you didn't.
Penny
Perdue.
Hindsight's 20/20. I think I did actually offer to, and he said no, but I should have done it anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious if his wife had anything to say about that. They're like, you were late because you and Purdue got lost in his car, and now you got to pay a fine? Because, Pax probably didn't mind all that much, I'm guessing, but...
No, he didn't like getting fined.
Well,
What people also don't realize is that John Paxson in the Bulls golf tournament back in the day got a hole-in-one and got a free car, and he took it and drove it.
Wow. All right,
Drove
so
the
we made it
wheels
up.
off of it.
Who provided the free car? The Bulls?
I think it was an Oldsmobile.
Oh, okay.
No, it was, the par 3. Get a hole-in-one, you win a car. He made it. And he says, I'm taking it.
Can you imagine if we started finding
Think he's still
guys?
driving it? What?
Can you imagine if we started getting fined for showing up late to podcast prep?
I mean, I wouldn't know because I'm always here early.
You are always the first one
My
here.
last job had a fine system.
Did it
where
really?
If you showed up late to the morning meeting, you got fined. If you ate stinky food, you got fined. If your phone went off on the show, you got fined. I think we should implement that.
The stinky food thing's a little subjective, no?
Well, here, this
Okay.
is a larger space. We had a very small room that we all worked in. It was a problem. So
Fair. I mean, Sean Anderson, within the first few months of us being in this space and CHGO launching, reheated fish in our kitchen, our office kitchen microwave.
Are you
and I was like,
kidding me?
buddy, that's not strike 1, that's strike 8. What the hell are you thinking?
I mean, if he didn't want to pay a fine, that's a swift kick to the groin.
Exactly. And I told him, and he's never done it since. At least not while I'm around. We got to take one more quick ad break. When we come back, we're going to dive into that all-star conversation with our guy, Will Perdue, on the other side. Hit the like button. Restores the old days.
Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier than ever. You can save up to 60% off on buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater, and more. They have killer last-minute deals, views from your seats, and the lowest price guarantee. So prices actually go down the closer you get to tip-off. Our favorite, they have the zone deals. You can save more when you choose the section and you let Game Time choose your seats. You know your total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. And best of all, you can get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you know how far you can stretch out your legs. Will Perdue has those long legs he's got to stretch out. With the lowest price guarantee, they will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Matt Peck, tell Will Perdue what time it is.
Game time, who? Game time, who? Today's show is brought to you by Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake. They're slashing prices on new cars and giving you big savings all month long. Come in today to shop the new car clearance event. Check out their selection of over 125 different vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicago's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the entire Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you'll know you'll get a great deal. Plus, with that raised price promise, you can shop confidently knowing the price you see is the price you will pay with no hidden fees, no add-ons, no woozies, or no wazies ever. Visit our partner at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake, and don't miss out on their new car clearance event going on all month long. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or RayChevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. Let's drive. And we're back. CHGO Bulls hanging out on Thursday with y'all. Our fellow Bulls fans in the chat, hit the like. Juan Miller saying people should be fined for not hitting the like button. I agree. That's just common sense. Travis, meanwhile, thinks that Katie's idea that she proposed before the ad break is communism, aka fining people for various minor work infractions. But that's just a workspace. What if you spend that money communally on something fun?
Sounds like communism.
I really liked the fine system because it meant that, there were like consequences for us having to start our meeting late or like, being held up in times when you actually need people to be there. So I liked it. And it wasn't like the company was enforcing it. It was just us enforcing it ourselves.
Right.
So.
Were there like repeat offenders? Not to put anybody on.
Oh, yeah. I will put them on blast. I don't care.
It was.
Does not care.
Russell Dorsey, who works for Yahoo Sports now,
Hey,
love
shout
you
out
so
Russell.
much. Repeat offender.
All right.
There you go.
Wasn't expecting
Katie's
that, but
spitting
there you have
facts.
it.
Yeah, but that's something you do. There is some entertainment value to that. No, seriously, because
You're absolutely right.
as she said, you use that money for something productive eventually. That's the same thing we did. When you were fined by the team, the money went into a pot. And then once the pot got big enough, then we would, and we never knew
When they were big expensive team dinner or something, or
No, they would do shooting games.
Oh, okay.
So Phil would, at the end of practice, Phil would come walking out, go to the coach's office and come back with cash. And they'd be like, all right, we got enough money in the fine pot to do shooting
takes the
games.
pot.
And it was usually MJ was a captain, Pax was a captain, and Cartwright was a captain.
So at some point,
Pick your team,
when the
snake
pot
draft.
had built up big enough, did Phil come out of his office with a stack of cash and a bag of pennies from when you had paid your fine?
I'm not really
To
sure.
the winner
Are we
goes
sure
the
he
pennies.
wasn't just siphoning off like a little bit of
I'm not
it,
sure where those pennies went. But, it's just, but yeah, we would play those shooting games, and then all of a sudden the competitive nature to everybody came out because you would do a little snake draft, and it was first team to make 10 corner jumpers. So it was the first team of the three,
Yeah.
the first team to win 3 games.
Yeah.
Corner jumpers, elbow jumpers, top of the key jumpers, and you just kept going around and, and who's usually maybe Craig Hodges. We'd have 4 captains because there were 4 spots on the floor you would shoot from, 2 on one end, 2 on the other. You know, guys throwing balls at other guys' balls, and it's just it got childish at some point. But
It's a long season. You got to find ways to.
oh yeah, but it was fun. But guys, like you do something like that, and guys, I mean, some guys got really pissed, you know, because they wanted that money to say they had somebody else's money.
I understand. Guys got to get their money. Speaking of which, Perdue, you and I were chatting a little bit yesterday, and we're obviously all still waiting about the Josh Giddey contract figures. Modest's secondary Instagram account yesterday didn't fool anybody. That wasn't a warning sign that the news was about to break.
Not in 14.
He's just excited for it. But so you and I were chatting about, like, okay, in the hypothetical world where Josh Giddey will sign on a multi-year deal and it'll be somewhere between 20 and 25 million a year. And then beyond that, AK has said, we love Coby, we want to keep Coby. So next offseason, they got to sign him to a pretty rich deal. There's word around the league that Coby's looking for 30 mil plus a year. And they also have said, hey, Ayo Dosunmu is not on the trade block. You can't have Ayo. We want to keep Ayo. They would also theoretically have to pay Ayo Dosunmu to stick around. And what your short-term future looks like financially and roster-wise if they make those decisions. And, I mean, like, Goat's got some, cap tables we could take a look at, but while Katie's pulling those up, like, what do you think just conceptually about that idea of spending money on not just Josh Giddey sometime between now and the season starting, but Coby and Ayo both a year from now?
The interesting thing is my opinion has changed since you and I talked.
Love that. 180.
So I said that I fully believe they're going to re-sign Coby and Ayo. Did I not?
Yeah.
But then as something you mentioned, the guy they just signed,
Trey Jones.
I started thinking about it, and I said, something about that signing, because we have so many guards, sends up a red flag. And not meaning they shouldn't have signed him. I think they should have. Okay? I love him coming off the bench. And I also love him as a spot starter. But at the end of the day, you can only have so many guards.
At least in your rotation.
Right.
6.
Also, knowing that if Giddey is here, he's a primary ball handler. And he's not a guard.
Yeah.
Okay? And correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the things the Bulls talked about is Modest being a little more like Josh Giddey in his ability to handle the ball.
Billy Donovan III talked about that as far as the Summer League squad.
Correct.
And using Summer League as an opportunity to give Modest the ball in his hands more, to hopefully build that into his game at the NBA level.
So that made me start to think, and even though you and I, as we discussed, there's going to be a lot of cash going off the cap next year, made me wonder, was there a feeling by the front office that there's a possibility that somebody's going to offer Ayo more money than them, and then they could possibly lose him. So that's why the Trey Jones signing was so important. Because initially I just said, yeah, they're going to bring them all back. And, you and I discussed as we were talking yesterday, we said, maybe Arturas truly does believe that they're just going to get 9 or 10 good guys and let's go play and make it entertaining and competitive and, see what happens. But then I started thinking about it. It's just at some point you got to realize, okay, we got too many guards. Who are we going to let go? And that's the other thing is that as much as you would like him to keep Ayo, because I love the guy, how hard he plays, what he stands for, his work ethic, his leadership. Sometimes you got to do some things you don't like to do and get rid of a player that you love, but you love somebody else.
Yeah.
And everybody consistently has a dollar value of what a team is willing to pay. But if you can get just 1 out of 30 to pay more, sounds like that, not only is Trey an insurance policy because guys continue to get hurt and he plays significant minutes and he's very productive.
Right.
But also because of the possibility that they could be losing somebody next year and he can fill that void.
Yeah, the contingency plan being the Trey Jones re-signing if Io gets a bigger offer somewhere else. But go. What do you want to take a look at? I want to take a look at both of these, just like cap ideas, because Purdue's right. There's money coming off the books when you talk about the 26-27 season. Javon Carter, Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter, and Vooch, who are all entering the expiring years of their deal. So there seemingly is a lot of money. We talk about the 26 flexibility plan. There's a lot of flexibility in 27, but how much of that flexibility is still there if the Bulls do, in fact, pay big to keep both Io and Coby White on top of a presumptive 20 to 25 million for Josh Giddey?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things here, a couple of different angles to look at it. One is that there's about $82 million coming off the books next year. Next year, the cap, if it goes up 5%, will be at $170 million going into 26-27, with the luxury tax being at about $207. And so I point that out because if you look, Katie, if you can throw up the cap holds tab, let's say the Bulls sign Josh Giddey at $25 million, which may or may not happen. I don't think it'll be more than that. Basically, now you're in a position where you have Coby White's cap hold, you want to retain him. You have Io's cap hold, you want to retain him. And then you're factoring in some number. I just kind of threw in the same number for Noah Asenge for next year's draft pick. So if you waive Vooch, Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter, Javon Carter, and Dalen Terry's cap holds, you have 4 roster spots to play with, and you have about $37 million in cap space and about $74 million before you hit the luxury tax line. And so basically I wanted to lay all this out because I think there's been, to your point, Will, a narrative that, like, whether it's that they can't retain everybody or maybe more pertinently that they can't play everybody if they do decide to retain them, because you also have Isaac Okoro in the mix, who I think is kind of like a off guard, just given his size. You also have a bunch of forwards that you're trying to find minutes for, so you have to figure out how all those lineup combinations work. The way that it would work is that you would use the low cap holds on Coby White and Ayo Dosunmu at $24 million and at $14 million. You would have then $37 million in cap room to play with. You could use that to go out and sign free agents. You could sign one big free agent for $35 million, $40 million, or I guess you'd have to clear off some space to get up to 40. But the point is, like, you have a good amount of space. And then after you've used that cap space, then you can actually go above the cap and below the tax into what would be the tax line. So you'd have about $40 million to play with between the cap line and the tax, where now you can re-sign your guys. And so you would tack on an additional 5 or however many million to bring Coby back. You would give Io his contract. And Katie, you can flip it to the projection tab, which I did. And so you can see here, if you give Coby a $30 million contract, Giddey a $25 million, and Io 18, you still have about $28 million in cap space, and you would actually end up having more functionally because you would make that signing first. Mm-hmm. But you'd still be so far away from the tax that it wouldn't really matter. And so I say all that to say it's possible to bring all your guys back, and I think it's kind of realistic that they do that at this point. Like you've mentioned, Will, like, they don't get rid of guys, preemptively. They wait until they absolutely have to, and then if they feel like they can't sign them or don't want to pay them, then they trade them. But they're not like proactively moving off of guys to keep themselves out of these situations. So I think what it'll come down to is they have the space to be able to retain those guys, and they will have some cap space. It just won't be a max contract level player. As we've talked about before, that will be about $55-60 million. So if you have $37 million in space, you can sign one good player or a handful of like rotation guys, but you're not going to be able to bring in like a true difference maker. And I think to your point and what you wanted to talk about today, that's kind of the issue. Is it's great to bring back your guys. These are all good players that we've talked highly about, that we respect, that we think are really good. It's just, how do you continue to add talent to that? And this is kind of their chance to do it, because this is when they have cap space. As soon as you sign those guys, then you don't have that flexibility to be able to play with in the open market. You can sign guys using the mid-level exception. You can retain your own guys using their bird rights, but you don't have that big lump sum of cap space that you can go throw at, a star player to come join the team. Kind of a lot there. Sorry if that was a ramble.
No, it was good.
No, I mean, I thought it was very detailed. You told us everything we needed to know and then some.
And
so,
then some.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's the case and re-signing and paying your guys, Mr. Perdue, how would you feel about where that leaves them? And yes, they've got that space to hypothetically chase and pay handsomely a big name a year from now, while still retaining their guys with those cap hold figures that Goat was just talking you through. The free agent market has already lost 2 potential names in Luka and De'Aaron Fox. We also know that the Bulls, for whatever reason or reasons, have not been a greatly successful team in luring the biggest names in free agency. Free agency is also just, as a pool, shrinking in recent years because guys will always just take the biggest lump sum money they can get from the team that they're on and then request a trade elsewhere if they want to leave. So, if the plan is keep Josh, pay him, keep Coby, pay him, keep Io, pay him, and there's some other money to be spent, but that's the roster. Those are the leaders of the roster. How do you feel about that?
I like those guys. Don't get me wrong. But we're just going to be where we are, middle of the pack, right? Because then it goes back to you're going to beat New York. You're going to beat Atlanta. You're going to beat Miami. I mean, this is now you're talking about no Tatum this year. So Boston's going to be a different team. You don't know what you're going to get with Philly because you don't know who's going to play when and where. So what you would hope is that, this team would be a lot better than it is because this, as a whole, Milwaukee's, you can go down the list, right? Indiana. So it's almost like the East is up for grabs, but the problem is we're not anywhere close to being able to grab that, right?
Yeah.
So how do we get there? Because the following year, Halliburton's back, Tatum's back.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things. The Bulls will probably be better, but so are those other teams. So there's a possibility that even though we're better, so is everybody else. So we're still in the same spot.
And again, so much of this hinges on what you, as either a Bulls fan or however you pay attention to and follow this team, feel about the upside and ceiling of some of the young guys that are on this roster. And that when I say young, I'm including everybody in the bracket from Coby White being the most veteran among them to, the newly drafted Noah Asenge, who's still only 18. But I think specifically,
but then that leads you to the next thing. So let me go back and finish the previous question. See, because they've basically painted themselves into this corner, they can't get out of it. Right?
do they want out of it?
That's a valid question. Because it's kind of like the definition of insanity, right? Keep doing the same thing, thinking things are gonna change, but they don't.
But what do you make of the fact that recently Rick Carlisle said something that some people kind of construed to be a similar thesis statement to what AK said on the trade deadline that had people freaking out, saying in today's NBA, it's not so much about paying crazy dollar figures to 2 or 3 stars and having a 2 or 3 super team kind of roster, and more a balanced roster that's deep of skilled players. Because that's what AK is clearly trying to execute right now.
But that's literally how many times? Okay, let me back up. How many times has that actually happened? When was the last time? No, seriously.
No, I know. I'm laughing.
When was the last time we had a team like Indiana?
Yeah.
Who basically, as well as they played as a team, how many All-Stars do they have?
Well, I mean,
they have 2.
Halliburton
That's
and
the difference.
Siakam.
2.
You have 2 guys that are
okay, but they're All-Stars, but they're not superstars, and they're not generational talent. There's a difference, right?
Right.
But you basically they had a bunch of role players, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner, but you had a bunch of guys that outplayed their contracts,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like, and I use this term kind of jokingly, but it's kind of like when you play in a golf tournament that plays net. If a guy that's getting 10 strokes plays like a guy that's only getting 5 strokes, you can't beat him. So the Pacers basically had a bunch of guys that played below their index, played below, they were a 10, but they played like they were a 5. Mm-hmm. And they caught lightning in a bottle, right? So there's that. But then you have the team that actually won. And listen, I'm going to be very clear. Even if Halliburton doesn't get hurt, I still feel like Oklahoma City Thunder win. We could have that discussion later. But to get to where they got, what did Oklahoma City have that most teams don't? Assets.
The MVP of the league, for one.
Okay. But also they had assets to be able to make these necessary trades. Then
Correct,
they had development.
Yep.
And that's another issue. You and I talked about you're still on a whole pretty damn young. Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, you got rid of the best development guy in the league.
Referencing Peter Patton, the recently released shooting coach, who
Because
made
Peter-
some strides with a lot of guys.
Peter was the guy that was working with Josh Giddey, and you saw the increase and the improvement, the increase in his percentage, but also the improvement in his shot from behind the arc.
Yeah.
So he's no longer there. Now, that doesn't mean the guys that are there can't pick it up and continue, but he's the originator. He's the guy. You know who, and I say if you want to know how good he is, who's the one guy that he works with that plays for another team that is now an all-star?
That Peter worked with?
Yeah.
Um,
Jalen Brunson.
Brunson. Yeah, he was with
And
Dallas.
and how good was Brunson in Dallas? He was good, but he wasn't anything like he was in New York.
True.
And he's still working with Peter.
Well, and that's where I was going, is like, even if you look at the Pacers, they have 2 all-star caliber players. And like, Halliburton is an all-NBA player. He has been. And so I think what you're looking at is, unless you have, even if you're trying to replicate them, if you don't have those all-stars, you're going to end up being a poor man's version. So, okay, they won 50 games. Maybe you win 40. That's what we saw. Maybe they get to the second or third round. Maybe you get to the first, or you cap out at the second round. So in order to bridge that gap, maybe you can bring in a guy with $37 million in cap space. That doesn't even count for a starter. But really the question is, can one of your guys turn into an all-star player? Can Giddey or Modest or Coby?
So let's go back. I understand what Carlisle is saying. I understand what AK has said. But who was the last team? I'm not talking about to get to the finals. I'm talking about the last team to win the NBA Finals that did not have a superstar.
Most people, when you ask that question, point to the Detroit Pistons in 2004. And there are some arguments that can be made about the Hall of Fame caliber talent that still existed on that roster. When you're talking about Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton. Like, that team was deep. And not just good players deep. Stars in their own right in a specific part of their game where they were the best at it.
Mm-hmm. But still, okay, let's just, for credibility's sake, let's just pick them. That was 21 years ago.
Bingo. And that's why.
So that's when I go back to the Indiana Pacers and say lightning in a bottle.
Yes, 100%. And it's why most of the league, and Big Dave will sit here and flex for the rest of time saying he saw the whole thing coming, but most everybody who follows the NBA closely could not believe that run to the finals that the Pacers made.
Nobody could.
Because they didn't have an upper echelon superstar level talent. Halliburton and Siakam, stars, but second tier stars, right? That's what we're talking about.
So they're all stars. There's a difference. To me, there's all stars.
Right.
There's superstars, and there's generational talent.
Right.
But what we're talking about here is that what we're doing with the Pacers and what we're talking about with the Bulls. But you're talking about the team that just won the latest championship, now basically has 3 guys.
Yeah.
And paid those three guys, even though to me, Holmgren is just, he's good. I don't think he's all-star level yet.
Yeah, you know,
and he possibly could get there, but he's a double-double.
Yeah, as far as the role, he's the Chris Bosh of a younger version of the Heatles as far as knowing your defined roles.
That is a good call.
And so, like, that's the point. If you want to make the correlation to what Rick Carlisle said and what AK said at this past season's trade deadline, okay, if AK wants to build a roster that's more about having 9 to 10 good players who are all very good and very usable and the depth that is necessary, even if your guys are only just all-star level, not superstar level, you still need that part of the equation for Carlisle's plan to work. And that's why some skeptics following the Bulls right now, with that being the plan, are just sitting saying, okay, even if you need 2 quasi-all-stars or reserve all-stars around 9 to 10 to make that plan work, who are your quasi-all-stars? Who are your just run-of-the-mill all-stars? And when are they becoming all-stars? And people would say some combination of Josh Giddey, Coby White, and Miles Buzelis. Those are the 3 names you point to, right?
Yep.
Which, if any of them, become all-stars and when? And that is the question that has me many sleepless nights.
That leads to the
late August.
The next question is, to get to that level, you have to have a player that can do a couple things. Create his own shot and be able to convert that shot at a high level. I'm not talking about a volume guy, okay? I'm talking about a guy that when he has it, because we all know Michael missed more game winners than he made. But the moment when he had it, you're like, he's going to win the game for us. He did not. That's where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, in my opinion, has reached that level.
Yeah.
Okay. We can have the argument about, oh, he pushes off and he does whatever, but the officials ain't calling it. So, and the Pacers, even though Halliburton was their guy, and Halliburton, what did he hit, like 6 game-winning shots in the playoffs?
Oh, I mean, insanely clutch. Like, unprecedented how many clutch shots Halliburton hit on that run.
The
Right.
back iron one that just bounced up.
Oh,
and
God.
that was incredible.
But all of a sudden I just drew a blank. The other player that's the all-star for the Pacers,
Siakam.
Siakam, as disjointed as he looks when he moves, like non-athletic, he can create his own shot.
For sure.
He can get to the free throw line.
Yep.
And we saw when he was in Toronto, and we saw it now when he was with the Pacers. You can ride him. So the question is, with the Bulls, who is that guy that without Halliburton, you got Siakam, they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
With Halliburton, they're a contender.
Yeah. The need a bucket, get a bucket guy. Who is that guy?
Right. Now, we know some people can say, well, there's Coby White.
Some Bulls fans would say Coby White is the answer to that question.
Okay, but we also know, and we've, correct me if I'm wrong, but have we not been through the roller coaster ride with Coby White? Meaning he gives you a 20-game sample of this dude's an all-star.
Yep.
To a 20-game sample of this guy can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yep.
And I understand that that happens to all players. But the one thing that Coby does not do that to me will get him to the next level is get to the free throw line enough. And that's and I'm not saying he's not physical, because that dude gets in there and he rebounds with the bigs. He does.
Yeah.
But is he and can he continually take the pounding from a physicality standpoint in order to get to the free throw line 10 or 12 times a game?
And I think he improved there, but to your point, I think to me it's about the consistency. Like if you are a superstar player, you don't have a month where you win Eastern Conference Player of the Month and then a month where you don't look like an all-star. Like, you are consistently at that level. And
that's,
we've seen
I
it from Coby.
I
That's
think
great,
we
but
all
it's
know
gotta be consistent.
his work ethic. He's working on that.
For sure.
And we hope that he gets there, but he hasn't gotten there yet. So that's one of the things you're like, that's what I'm looking forward to. That's one thing I can say I'm looking forward to.
So, real quick, because we're just out of time, real simple question. If the Bulls are trying to be a good team that's deep but still has a star leading them, this upcoming season, do the Bulls have an all-star on their roster between Coby, Josh, anybody? I say no.
I say no, and it's not because they don't, but because of their record and the fact they're only on national TV 3 times.
If that.
Tying it back full circle.
It just, that's the truth.
I mean,
it just plays into it.
I think like they have an opportunity to put up, and by they I mean Coby and Josh have an opportunity to put up all-star numbers. But there's a difference between a guy who makes an all-stars team once or twice by putting up good numbers on a bad team one year versus a guy who is in that conversation every single year, who's an all-NBA player, who's been on all-NBA multiple times. Like, to your point, there's a difference between fringe all-star, and superstar.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
He made the All-Star team one time, but did Zach LaVine not have All-Star numbers every year?
He had arguably all-star numbers for many years and had 2 all-star appearances back-to-back.
And even that wasn't good enough. I mean, they made the playoffs
Yeah,
one
and the Bulls
time
were a
in
middling
8 years
team.
that he was here. So I think we need an all-star, even that is not enough, is kind of my point. Like, even if you have an all-star, or even if you have 2, they had DeMar and Zach, like, that was a first-round and out team at their very best.
You know,
Yep.
John's talking about Modest may have a breakout, but boy, that's asking a lot.
I mean, breakout in the sense that I want to see Modest not have a sophomore slump season, but thrive and improve upon what he did down the stretch of his rookie year, where his role got bigger and his stats got bigger, his confidence grew. I'm not putting make an all-star team on Modest in year 2. That is an unfair expectation, especially with what you said, which I agree with. All-stars tend to come from winning teams, especially reserve all-stars. Mm-hmm. Josh Giddey might get a hell of a lot of fan votes for all-star. And I'm not making a comment there. I'm just saying he might get a hell of a lot of votes.
From the females? Is that what you're saying?
From the Giddey Committee, which is
The
large.
Giddey Committee.
Believe me, I know. The Giddey Committee is large.
They do not like you.
They don't get starters, you know, like, or I mean, like they get the impact on the starters for All-Star. They have no say in reserve All-Stars. And that is the fringe that Coby and or Josh and or Modest are trying to get to and probably won't this upcoming season. So there's that. You got to be on a good winning team to be selected as a reserve all-star for the most part. We are out of time, sadly. 4-time champ Will Perdue, thanks for stopping by, man. You can go back to the golf course now until the season.
I missed you guys, man.
Hopefully we'll see
Listen to
more
some
of you as
crickets.
we get closer to the season. Follow Will_Perdue32. This Will _Gottlieb, perfectly coiffed. I'm Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. Thanks for hanging out with us, Bulls Nation. Hit the like button on your way out if you haven't done it yet. Hit it for Katie. Hit it for Katie, who's in a great mood today because of the T-Swift vibes that are flying around. Shout out to Katie Duffy, the queen of the controls.
I noticed
We'll
she
be back
didn't.
tomorrow.
I haven't been here for a while, but she didn't have an edge about her when I walked in.
She's in T-Swift happy mode right now. She's not even here mentally. She's thinking about those T-Swift songs. 12 new ones.
She's just floating around.
That's right. We are back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Central Time to round out the week, and also 8 a.m. Central tomorrow. That Carlos Boozer exclusive interview drops on the YouTube channel as well. Check it out. Talk to you tomorrow. See you, Rebby Kid.
We all silly like the mayor.